I guess my story starts off with me wanting to be an animator. I really couldn't tell you what my influences were specifically at the time. I was given a DSi. I loved Flipnote Antenna. I was making little doodles, little animations on it. It was great. After tasting that little 1 frame, 2 frame hit, it was over. I loved animation. I loved animating. I loved cartoons. And that's pretty much what I wanted to do when I got older. I just wanted to make animations. I wanted to make cartoons. And my problem is I didn't know what I wanted to say when I was making those cartoons. I just wanted to emulate what other people was doing. I just wanted to be popular for something that I created. And that really didn't last as soon as I wanted to make something that I actually had passion for. Not just for the joy or the thrill of creating it. It was me actually wanting to say something. And that was a fan-made music video that I did called Summer's Like a Dream. It's on my channel, I believe. And I remember it took me around 13 months to create it, start to finish. And it got no love. I posted it on Newgrounds. It got front page, but it had to be taken down because of copyrighted music. And it just sits and rots on YouTube because I guess the algorithm really couldn't find the audience for it. And I think after that was pretty much the straw that kind of broke the camel's back, that I felt like I really can't find a way to make this animation thing happen. I tried to be a part of a group because during that time, around like 2017, 2018, like animation group was all the rage. And it just didn't work out. You get a bunch of teenage boys together, and everybody wants to make some animations, and I won't say egos collide, but it just didn't work out. I'll just put it at that. It just didn't work out. So after that, I was just making the animations by myself, but I just didn't really find the purpose in that. So during the time, my sister was bringing home like a bunch of comics because she had her comic book phase. She was bringing like Image, Dark Horse. She got me into like reading I Hate Fairyland. I was reading Deadly Class, Chew, and I was like, this is so cool. And what I would do when I was like reading these like comic books, I would just open it up and seeing the how many people worked on it, and I would still see like 5 people. Note, another reason why I stopped doing animation is because you pretty much need a team to get anything that looks good done in a reasonable amount of time. And when I saw several names on a comic book credits, I thought it was relatively the same thing. That was just going to take too much time, and I just saw like the patterns forming in my brain that I was like, this is probably going to end up the same way. So I just dropped it. I think a couple months later, I forgot what was the manga that got me into it, but I started reading manga. I think it was like One Piece. I didn't read the manga One Piece, but I was watching the anime, and I was binge watching it when it was on Netflix. I was binge watching the anime. And I think around the same time, actually, no. I don't know. No, that's way later. That's actually way later. I'm getting my timeline's messed up, sorry. But I had gotten into reading manga. I forgot what manga it was, but I noticed that with a lot of manga, you would just see one name on it. This is way before I knew mangaka had assistants, but that's for very specific cases. But when I saw a lot of manga being produced with only one name on it, I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm gonna do. I can't remember what manga inspired me to just start making comics within the manga style, but like just seeing that in the surface made me realize that this is something I could do too. So the first comic that I created was Purgatory Academy. It's about heaven, hell, having 4 years to decide. And I was like pretty okay at drawing. I never made a comic before, so I looked up how to write a story, and I looked up how to write a story, and I settled on doing the hero's journey and wanting to tell a story about, or asking the question, do we have the powers to overcome the systems beyond our control? And after creating that book with a style that's very influential by season 2, like not season 2, but phase 2 of Gorillas, as a jumping off point for the style, I posted it up on Webtoons, and people liked the characters, they like the art, they like the story. And I remember telling myself, if I'm just not good at this, then I'll just do something else. But it turned out people really liked it when I posted it up on Webtoons. So after doing the first story, and that one took me about like an hour to make. Like an hour, not an hour, but like it took me about like sorry. It took me about a year to make the first book. But compare that to taking a year, 13 months to create my last animated music video, and with about the same time, it was like 2 minutes of watch time versus 30 minutes of watch time, and I felt like, or at least engagement, I suppose, and I got to say a lot more than I wanted to, and through telling comics than it was through doing it animated. So it was pretty much a no-brainer, and people liked what I made. So I tried it again with book 2 of Purgatory Academy, which the idea of that one was asking the question, do we have free will? And if we do, doesn't matter. That one took me 2 years, and people liked it still. There are aspects, which for the second book, I try to focus more on Travis's friends, Susan and Jim. And people like that, so I decided to tell another story, Chimera Island, about a hidden island striving to find balance that alternates between 4 characters. A character that wants to find adventure, another one who wants to find friends, one that wants to earn respect within his community, and the last one trying to figure out his identity. People like that one. So, during the mix, I was working on, I forgot when, but I was working on Purgatory Academy or Chimera Island. I had a friend who wanted to write a cartoon, and because he liked what he saw with what I did with Purgatory Academy, he wanted me to help out with this idea that he had, which came out to be Just a Reaper. And we got into a Discord call for like 8 hours, and we written like 30 minutes of script. It was nothing. It was cake. It was great. So after that, we talked a lot more, and I believe during that time I was just watching a lot of Superman the Animated Series. And I really liked this one episode of, I think it was called A Return of Amazo. And it was about 2 siblings who were on an island that found a washed up Amazo. If you don't know who Amazo is like a robotic. He's more like an android, not an android, but like a cyborg type character who has beef against Superman. So you have that Superman villain who washed up on the shores of an island. And 2 kids find him, and they want to turn him into their own metal version of Superman. But because of status quo and those types of cartoons, the villain got his memories back, wanted to kill the kids, wanted to kill Superman. And I thought about this one idea. I had the thought, like, what if the villain never got his memory back, and the kids were to successfully try to turn that thing into their own version of a superhero, of a Superman. And I was like, had that idea around my brain for a while, and I was telling Matt, the co-creator of Just a Reaper, the head of Just a Reaper, actually, and he said, let's just do it again. And we ended up with, and when I brought him on board, he brought his own spin. At first I wanted the kids to be the same age, but when Matt came along, that's when there was a more of an age difference between the brother and the sister. he thought of the entire dynamic, what I was thinking more about the plot, and what I essentially settled on with the idea of Metal Hero was a story about relationships where the robot is a kind of a symbolism of what a functional relationship needs to be, of two parties needing to agree in order for the relationship to go anywhere or to be functional, because the robot won't function the way that they both want him to unless they agree on something. So that's very much the rundown of how I got into comics. If you guys want to ask any other questions, so leave them on the comment below. All of these are pretty much one takes, more one take or whatever. But yeah, if you like how these types of videos are, let me know in the comments. If you want me to talk about anything else, also let me know. I don't know if anybody's gotten this far, if this helps people play games in the background or do whatever. Glad to help. But anyway, I've talked enough. Check y'all later.